Good morning. We're here again today at the lovely riding school and stables at Mona, and we're happy and privileged to have as our guest Nikki Kennedy, who is Youth Director at the FEI. Good morning, Nikki.
Morning, Digby.
Now, Nikki, Youth Director at the FEI is a relatively new position. What exactly does youth mean to the FEI?
It's a good question. It's a very, as you say, it's a recent development. It's a recognition of the fact that it's a group that needs to be targeted specifically and needs our full attention and maybe in a very intense way in the immediate future. We had to give it a concrete age group, and so we looked at United Nations, UNESCO, various other international bodies at what would they define it as. Basically, having studied that and then looking at our own competition age group, we defined it as from 12 years of age to 21. It's a very, very big group in terms of age, but it's also a very big and diverse group as a target public, because we're not just referring to the riders of tomorrow, but actually the entire equestrian family of tomorrow. So we're talking about, yes, those who will get out and ride the horses every day, grooms, stewards, officials of tomorrow, and of course the fans, because these are the people that keep the sport alive and that will continue to ensure the growth of the sport. They're the people who get out there in the all weathers and at every level ensure we have equestrian sport on into the future.
How do you consider targeting such a diverse group?
It's a big challenge for us, and I think we will need to remain conscious of that all the time. It's not that just once we feel we capture their interest, we gain their attention, we're going to need to keep it. And for the 10 years that we're talking about in that age group, and we're talking a minimum of 10 years because we're also looking at those who are younger and those who are actually leaving that age group, what can we learn from there? I think we need to be very aware that they have different needs, as you say, that there's a huge amount of development, and that society is also going to be changing during that period as well. So our strategies should, in my opinion, be short-term and constantly rolling, constantly evolving with the changes in response, direct response to those changes. I also think that the fact that we have so many different disciplines allows us surely to find something for everybody within that age group. You've got vaulting that can appeal to the more athletic, you've got reining, which is a whole culture that goes alongside the Western, driving, endurance, which is growing exponentially. It's a fantastic mix. I mean, eventing, which has the mix of the 3 Olympic disciplines, is just a hugely exciting sport to a teenage audience.
I think I'm right in saying that one of the things that you as Youth Director and the person responsible for youth policy at the FEI is going to be very much concerned with is the upcoming Year of Youth.
Basically, we're talking about a 12-month period from August of this year to August of next year. Why August of next year? It leads directly into the first ever Youth Olympic Games. We have this marvelous opportunity, in fact. It's the result of having such a dynamic presidency that allows us to devote our attention for an entire year to youth and to find out basically what works, what doesn't, what are the challenges in our sport, what are the values that the youth audience already identify within our sport, what can we do better. And basically the Year of Youth will be about, let's call it a fact-finding. We're going to spend 12 months using a variety of media and communicating, actually listening. It's an age group, again, where we've all had that experience of feeling that we're not listened to. And as a governing body, it's a marvelous opportunity for an entire 12-month period to listen, to ask the questions, and to hear maybe things that we may not be entirely comfortable with, but to learn from that and do better. The objective then, medium to long term, is, based on what we learn during that 12-month period, to define a strategy for ourselves. Where do we go from here? What's a good idea? What will work here to ensure we have a good sport into the future?
You mentioned earlier during your answer the Youth Olympic Games. Is that a completely new event?
It is. It's a first. And there'll be various sports. In equestrian sport, we'll just have jumping. 30 riders, male and female, 30 in total. And they will qualify through their national Olympic committees. So it's the national Olympic committees will decide which riders go forward. In Singapore in August 2010, and it's a very exciting project.
A lot of people might feel quite uncomfortable about the very idea of a Youth Olympic Games, given that it seems that athletes have to deal with the stress of competition early enough as it is. What's your position on that?
Very glad of the opportunity to answer that question. The Youth Olympic Games is definitely about promoting the Olympic values, for sure. But in terms of competition and what may have become, or what had the potential possibly to become overly competitive, work has been done and the project has been defined in such a way as to completely avoid that. So in answer to your question, it will be the contrary, in fact. Why so? It will be run over 12 days, and there is a huge amount of work gone into creating a culture and education program that will run simultaneously. So for each of the sports, all of the athletes that participate, that qualify to participate, will actually be in the afternoons, in their free time, working with other athletes in various workshops. Clean sport, fair play, healthy lifestyle, various topics will be covered. And there'll be a great opportunity to mix with the other sports, to talk about what sport should really be about. And I think that's a great first, and it's a very brave step to take forward, actually, and very important in the current climate for all sports.
All of that seems very encouraging and exciting, but it's one thing wanting to communicate with people, and it's quite another thing to actually make that communication effective. Now, I presume this is something that you've given a lot of thought to.
Absolutely, Digby. There's been a huge amount of work in the past months in analysing what's the best way to do that. And it's not so much about getting a message across, but as you rightly say, it's about communicating. So the dialogue has to be two-way. And when we've studied what's the best way to do that, we've come up with the idea that it's really using the most up-to-date modern media that a young public are interested in using. And what our communications department have come up with the great concept of a be seen, be heard. And it's a drive basically to get as many young people as we can online, on site, telling us what they think of the sport, how it works for them, what they love about it, what we could do better. And what we're very enthusiastic about is in the next couple of weeks, we're launching a competition to ask this same public to design for us our logo for Year of Youth. It's a great opportunity. As I said before, it doesn't have to be necessarily the riders, it's anyone who's involved in the sport. As I say, young people of all those ages must have fantastic ideas. They do have ideas, they're the people practicing the sport. So we'd like them to design the logo for us, and then the actual launch of Year of Youth will be at the Altec FEI European Championships for Jumping and Dressage in Windsor in August. And at that point, the winning logo will be used throughout the year from that point onwards.
Well, Nikki, that was extremely informative, interesting and exciting, and I'd just like to thank you very much for coming in and sharing all of that with us today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.